Well, the moment it happened, a magnitude 7.3 earthquake striking south of Sandpoint today.
Alaskans in the Aleutians and South Central feeling that shaking and experiencing a scare after widespread tsunami alerts.
Well, good evening. A tsunami warning was issued for the far eastern Aleutians to Kodiak. That was this afternoon.
Now, those notifications alarmed Alaskans across the region. Thankfully, the tsunami warning and advisory have now been canceled, but the shaking continues. Chief Meteorologist Melissa Fry has been keeping us up to date all afternoon and has the latest.
Yeah, definitely a scary afternoon for many. It's something that we practice and we prepare for, but we never know when it's going to happen. I want to show you video from Alaska, video of people evacuating, moving to that high ground. This was an area that was just outside of the warning zone, but they felt the shaking. They saw the tsunami warning was nearby, and they didn't wait to see what was going to happen. They did exactly what you should do in this situation, move to high ground. You notice that many of those people are on foot. That is what is recommended, the safest and quickest way to get out of that danger zone. Also, just after the warning was canceled, we did see boats returning back to harbor. They were told warning has been canceled, is now safe to return, and you can see them making their way back in. Thank you to Denise Rankin for sending this video to us. And while the tsunami threat is now over, the ground in this area, it is still shaking as aftershocks continue. The Alaska Earthquake Center says that aftershocks from an earthquake this large are not unusual and should be expected.
Fully expected for an earthquake like this to have continued activity over the coming days, weeks, and even months. We expect the vast majority of those, if not all of those earthquakes, to be smaller in size.
So that is unnerving after anyone's experienced a magnitude 7.3 earthquake. You want that ground to be solid. You don't want to feel any shaking. And like Dr. West said there, the shaking will become more minimal over time. And they do expect that those aftershocks will all or mostly be smaller, and that will continue with time. But we are still seeing those aftershocks as a concern, again, in this area. So it was this stretch of area, everyone highlighted in red, that was under that tsunami warning and advisory earlier this afternoon. That is from east of Unalaska through Kodiak. So there was never a threat to the Kenai Peninsula or to Anchorage, just these areas highlighted in red, which again have all now been cleared. But as I mentioned, those aftershocks continue from this magnitude 7.3. We've already had 12 aftershocks greater than magnitude 3, 9 over magnitude 4, and 2 now that have been in that magnitude 5 range, including one that happened just over about a half an hour ago. So bottom line, the warning and advisory are canceled. There was a tsunami that was confirmed and observed in Sandpoint. Small sea level changes in this area. There's still possible that ocean surface was shooken up by that large quake, and those aftershocks will continue. But such good news, John and Rebecca, that we are seeing all of that canceled and improving conditions with time.
Well, Melissa, a lot of aftershock talk. Is there concern that another tsunami could be generated?
No, not. It's not expected. So a tsunami doesn't matter if it's an aftershock or an earthquake. So there is that potential that you could get a large aftershock that creates a tsunami. But as Dr. Mike West said, they're expecting those aftershocks to now get smaller with time. At any time, we could get an earthquake in Alaska that can generate a tsunami. So that's why it's important to always be ready for it. That's not something that we're expecting from this earthquake.
Georgina Fernandez is making contact with some of you in those areas that are affected.
Yeah, Georgina, what can you tell us?
Well, John, Rebecca, and Sandpoint, just a few hours ago, residents tell me they were still feeling those back-to-back aftershocks following the earthquake. Take a look at this video. These security cameras capturing just a snippet of what residents saw today happening at their home in Sandpoint. Now, I spoke with one lady who told me she initially thought the shaking was from her washing machine, but quickly realized what was happening and she evacuated her home. She says the shaking progressively got worse and lasted for at least 30 seconds. Her family then took to higher ground with the fear of a tsunami.
It took a little while after the earthquake to kind of settle. Like, I just felt a little shaken. And my mom expressed the same thing the whole time we were at her house. She's like, I just feel shaken and just agitated. And but now I've kind of calmed down. I came home.
And Jackson says the damage and mess left behind, at least at her property, is not as bad as she thought it would be.
Well, Georgina, you spoke to several people today. You got a feeling kind of overall how people are receiving this?
Well, it really depends on who we talk to. I'm still hearing from some people on the Aleutian chain that are feeling shaken up, while others say this is not their first rodeo and is part of living in this area of the state. And a man in Homer today who got that tsunami warning says this is also just good practice in case a tsunami would ever hit.
Well, it's community responses like that public media leaders have been emphasizing as the Senate gets ready to vote on cutting possibly millions from stations across the country as part of the president's proposal.
Alaska has 27 public media stations, many serving small communities like those impacted by today's tsunami warning. We're going to bring in political reporter Will Courtney to update us. Will?
Alaska public media today, and they're actually nervous as supporters of the cuts say they're necessary because of what they call media bias. But the head of Alaska public media will point at something like today's warning to say that's the exact reason public media is important. They say local public media stations are some of the first lines of defense communities have when disaster strikes. One of the communities we heard about today was on Alaska. I spoke to the head of their station yesterday who said they're at risk, just like dozens of other small Alaska communities. We first reported last night how Senator Sullivan, who voted to move forward on the cuts yesterday, made a deal with the White House to continue sending some funding. Public media leaders now say that's only for tribal radio stations around the country. They say that means Alaska could be forced to share one-time funding with 8 other states. Alaska's public media's president and CEO talked to me right before the tsunami warning.
Here in Anchorage, we enjoy a relatively strong broadcast ecosystem and print news ecosystem. But in rural Alaska, they're the last sole source for trusted information that's timely, potentially life-saving, and useful just operating your daily life. Weather reports, if you're going to go out and get your fishing boat out and do that work. I can come up with other examples, but I think Alaskans can fill in.
On the other side, Senator Sullivan's spokesperson saying as part of their statement today, for years, in numerous meetings, Senator Sullivan has been consistently warning executives from public media entities, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and NPR that their biased programming and reporting, funding in part by the American taxpayer, would eventually jeopardize federal support for both national and local radio stations.
Well, a big part of the senator's statement was about these negotiations, right? He said the administration had committed to continue that funding here in Alaska. Where does that stand?
Yeah, well, the senator has not updated us since last night's statement as issues now appear to only fund tribal radio stations. Public media says the White House is just a promise at this point. So a lot's still unclear, but we're still looking into these questions. We're asking it to lawmakers and to public media as well. And we're going to continue following this when the vote actually happens.
All right, Will Courtney, political reporter, thank you. And if you'd like to hear our full interview with Alaska Public Media's Ed Ullman, you can find it on our streaming platforms. Tracy Sinclair at our digital desk now with details about that and what else you can find.
Yeah, John, we talk a lot about our streaming platforms, and today was a really good example of why you want to download our app and sign up for those push alerts. Because shortly after that tsunami warning went off, we went live at our digital desk. Chief Meteorologist Melissa Fry and I brought viewers the latest updates in real time. We were on the air when it changed from a warning to an advisory, and then when that advisory was recalled. And we had a live conversation with Dave Snyder from the Tsunami Warning Center. Our mission at that point, keep people safe and informed. And of course, one of the other items that's on our platforms right now, we have a brand new documentary, Kathleen, Joe, and Veronica, Who Else? The Search for Brian Smith's Unwritten Victims. It's really well done. It's interesting and powerful, and I highly recommend that people check that out. And of course, sign up for those push alerts so that you don't miss a thing.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tracy. Still ahead on Alaska's news source, today is opening day of the World Eskimo Indian Olympics. We'll take you to Fairbanks for that story.
And we're going inside the gates, where at these shops, you might just find a story and a deal.
Well, there's a chance for shopping for a cause and upcycling some of your favorite clothes and other items. The ASYMCA of Alaska runs thrift shops that, as Gwen White reports, are giving military spouses financial and social opportunities on both Joint Base Elmendorf and Richardson and Fort Wainwright.
From uniforms to home goods and a surprising amount of Western wear.
You can find absolutely anything in the bargain shop. We joke that if you speak it, it will arrive.
But it's not just about good thrift finds.
We employ primarily military spouses. We pay our military spouses for working here, but I think it also provides a network of support. We all know that the military life is difficult and it's hard to quickly make friends, so this really provides an environment for that.
With 2 locations on J-Bear and 1 on Fort Wainwright, each bargain shop purchase supports ASYMCA programs across the state.
All of the money that's generated through the bargain shops supports the Armed Services YMCA mission. So programs like our Marketplace, which is a no-cost shopping option for our service members, our Guardian Angel program, our early learning program, all of our family strengthening programs, all of the summer camps, the fishing trips, spouse summer camp that's coming up, all of those programs are supported through the diversified revenue that comes in through the bargain shops.
Thrifting for a good cause, it's a win-win. Quinn White, Alaska's news source.
Thanks for listening. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcast from Alaska's news source automatically. And stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.